So today we're going to be making this super simple mesh top. This is highly requested. You can make it in any yarn weight you like. It is made to measure. You will make 2 panels, sew them together at the top, work the sleeve, and then you will have an option to create a ribbing for your sleeve or leave it open. You will also have the option to create a straight sleeve or a sleeve with decreases. So yeah, stick around. I'm going to show you how to get this done, and I hope you enjoy it.
This is not a shirt for a doll, but I'm going to just show you on the doll. So the amount of chains that we work in the initial chain, the foundation chain, is going to be the length of our shirt from our collarbone to wherever it ends. The width of your shirt is going to be dependent on the amount of rows that you work across. For a drop shoulder, you want to make sure that the amount of rows you work exceeds your shoulder span. Next, I'm going to show you how to create the mesh panels. For the foundation chain, remembering we are chaining the length that we want our top to be, you are going to make sure that it is an odd number plus 3. When you have your chain length, we are then going to work our first double crochet into the 6th chain from the hook. The chains to the right will count as a double crochet and a chain for the next round. Chain 1, skip 1 chain, and work your next double crochet into the next chain. Again, we're going to chain 1, skip a chain, and work a double crochet into the next chain. You're going to repeat this across. When you reach the end, you're going to chain 4 and turn your piece. Round 2, we are going to skip the first double crochet and chain and work into the second double crochet. The first 4 chains are your double crochet plus your chain for your next round. Chain 1, skip a chain, work into the top of the next double crochet, and continue that across. Chain 1, skip a chain, double crochet into the next. Now you've worked into the last double crochet. You're going to chain 1, skip a chain that you can see there, of the chains that we created in the first round, and we're going to work into the top of the second one, and that will now become our double crochet. Chain 4 and turn your piece. Again, we're going to skip that first double crochet and chain and work into the second double crochet. Chain 1, work your mesh stitch across. Okay, just to show you one more time, we've reached the end into the last double crochet, then we're going to skip a chain and work into the second chain. Trying to get my actual crocheted panels to fit in frame was impossible, so I'm going to show you with these 2 pieces of paper. So here's our 2 panels. We're going to be attaching them up on either side, leaving a hole in the center because that is our neck hole. So depending on how big or small you want your neck hole to be, adjust the amount of stitches that you will work on either side. This is just a little more visual. When we fold our piece in half, our sleeve will be there, our neck hole there. I hope this was helpful. I'm sorry about the paper. Okay, for the joining, you have two options. This one I lattice joined. Let me just double check. Okay, that is my join there. And you really don't see it. But it's a little bit more difficult. This one, that's my join there, but you can really see it more on the underside. It's harder to tell with this yarn, but there is a little lump there. I actually prefer this way. I don't know why. I prefer this way. But you do lose the holes. You can see it's joined there. It looks different. But anyways, I'm going to show you both. First, I'm going to show you this one. Okay, so I'm going to work through the top of this one. I'm going to slip stitch it, and I'm going to slip stitch into the top of that one. Okay. Then you can absolutely just go through the chain and just slip stitch it across. Sometimes if I'm being lazy or I just like the look of it, I will chain, because this is a smaller yarn, I'm chaining twice, but usually just chain once, and then go into the top of the 2 double crochets. So really, I'm just chaining across there. You could totally go through it. It does leave it open though when you chain. But yeah, you could just slip stitch across each one of these chains and then the double crochets. Right, so we're getting our seam. Okay, we're just going to slip stitch across. Attaching your standing half double crochet to the first double crochet, you're going to work a double crochet, and then you're going to go into the second panel and the corresponding double crochet in that panel. You're going to yarn over, work into the top as opposed to under, work your double crochet, and then you're going to chain 1. That is the lattice stitch. So we're just going to repeat that across. So go into the top of a double crochet on one panel, work a double crochet, and then you're going to go into the second panel, the top of the next double crochet in that panel, work a double crochet, and then you're going to chain 1 and continue that across as much as you need to seam up your shoulders of your panels. And you should be left with something that looks a little bit like this. So this just creates a little bit more of the same pattern that we were working with. I find that the squares aren't exactly the same size, but it works. Okay, so now we have our panels joined with our neck hole. Next, we will be creating the sleeves. So just to give you an idea, this is where the sleeves are going to go. So you're going to take your piece, fold it in half, and there's different ways that you can decide how big you want your sleeve to be. I personally try my piece on at this point and apply a stitch marker to the area that I would like my sleeve to be. But no matter what size you do choose, you need to make sure that it is the same amount on either side of the panels. So we're going to be working the same amount on either side. Okay, so now I'm going to fold my piece in half and just show you that's where my sleeves are going to be. And I'm going to make sure that on both panels, the same amount of stitches are unworked. Could you just make this one big sleeve piece? Sure, just make sure that you leave a neck hole and a body hole. But I like to sew up a bit of my panels. That creates more of the like shirt versus just it being a sleeve. So again, just so for some visual, this is where my panels will be, and I'm going to leave 5 double crochets and a chain unworked. So now you're going to attach a standing half double crochet. As you can see with your slip knot on your hook, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through the last 2. It's the same as a double crochet. So chain 1, and we're just going to continue work our mesh stitch across. And we're just going to make sure that we have the same amount of double crochets and chains on either side of your sleeve. Okay, now we've worked over to our seam, and on this one, I just did a slip stitch through everything seam. So I actually have enough space to chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet through that. But if you find that you don't, it either looks too close or too far away, then just adjust for that. We're just going to be evenly working the mesh stitch across. And I just wanted to show you what that would look like. Okay, now we've made it to the end. I'm just double checking that I have 5 posts and a chain, which I do. So now we're at the end, and we're just going to do what we normally do, and that's chain 4, turn your piece, and work the mesh stitch across. And you're just gonna work that stitch, work that sleeve until it reaches the desired length that you'd like. If you would like to add a cuff on the end, just keep in mind that you'll need to make a little bit of a shorter sleeve. Okay, this is the decrease in case you want to narrow your sleeve towards your cuff. So when you reach the end of your row, instead of chaining 4, we're going to chain 2. Turn your piece, and then we're going to be working into the first double crochet instead of the second. Do not chain 1 and work your next double crochet into the top of the next double crochet. Then you're just going to work your mesh stitch across, chain 1, double crochet into the top, work over until the second last double crochet. So I'm going to chain 1 and work my double crochet into the last double crochet there. I'm not going to chain, and I'm going to work into the second chain. Okay, so again, we're going to chain 2, turn our piece. We're going to work into the first double crochet. We're going to chain. We're going to skip that second post and work into the third post there. Okay, so as you can see, we've decreased one of our squares. So we're going to continue our mesh stitch across until the second last or third post. As you can see, we're at the second last stitch or the third post. We're going to work into the last. So skip that middle post. And as you can see, we've now decreased. I like to alternate my decreasing rows and just a regular mesh stitch across row. And this helps to make it not so drastic of a point. I also like to decrease in the center, so I'm just going to show this to you guys for those who might want to do this also. So you're going to find your 2 center stitches, and just like a regular half double crochet decrease, we're going to decrease these stitches together. So we're going to begin our half double crochet, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Then we're going to yarn over and into the top of the next double crochet, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through all 3. And as you can see, it's a point. So if you don't want this look, then don't do it. But I like to decrease in the center also. And then you are just going to continue across as you normally would. And just to show you the ending again, so we're going to make sure that we skip that center post and work into the last double crochet. Okay, so we've made our panels, we've sewn them together at the seam for the neck, you've created your sleeves on both sides, and now we're going to fold our piece in half, and we're going to be working the seam for the sleeve. Keep in mind that you will have a right side and a wrong side to this piece at this point because of your seam on the inside. So when you're seaming up your sleeve, make sure that your piece is turned inside out. And we're going to seam this the same way we did our neckline. All right, now on to the cuff ribbing. You're going to chain the length that you would like your ribbing to be. Work into the second chain from the hook. I'm doing half double crochet ribbing. You could do any kind of ribbing you'd like. Single crochet, slip stitch, double crochet. I prefer half double. For ribbing, all you need to do is instead of going through both loops, you're going to go through the back loop only. So as you can see, there's a V there, and I'm going into the back loop with my half double crochet. So I'm just going to show you this a few more times. Insert my hook into the back loop only and work my half double crochets across. Chain 1, turn, repeat until the piece fits around your wrist plus about an inch and a half. Next, we will be attaching our ribbing. This is the ribbing seam. You can absolutely go through both sides, both loops of both sides. This is how I do it. So going through the front loop only of the last row we created and both loops of the first row we created. We're going to work our slip stitch through that and repeat across. Front loop only, both loops of the next, oops, and work our slip stitch across, and that is our ribbing seam. It's not a huge difference, but this way does kind of maintain our ribbing instead of a harder seam. Okay, now we're going to attach our cuff to our sleeve. We're going to make sure that both pieces are turned inside out, so seams out. Then we are going to count the amount of double crochet posts in our final round of our sleeve. I counted 40 double crochet posts, so I'm going to evenly work 40 stitches around the raw edge of my cuff. The way we do this, I'm going to slip stitch through the top of a double crochet post and work the rest of that stitch through the raw edge of the ribbing. We really need to keep in mind that they need to be evenly worked, otherwise you are going to see more sleeve on one side of your cuff than on the other. Slip stitch this way around the whole cuff, and when you reach the end, you will fasten off and cut your yarn, turn your piece inside out, and you've got a sleeve with a cuff. Repeat on the other side. This is totally optional, but I decided to add a slip stitch, single crochet edging to my neckline. You can absolutely just avoid this, but I'm going to show you what I did. So I attached my standing single crochet, and I just worked a single crochet through all the chains, all the double crochets in that last row. And it just gives a little bit of a cleaner look. As you can see, it's not a huge difference, but there is a difference to the neckline. I feel like it'll just keep it a little more sturdy over time, but it's unnecessary.
So let me know in the comments if that was helpful, if it wasn't helpful. I really want to bring you guys more of these free patterns, so if you like what I'm doing, please hit the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments, like the video, and I hope to bring you guys some more. Enjoy!